digital welcome to November to remember last day, day 10. In the spirit of the times, we find ourselves connecting from various corners of the world and shared knowledge and collective desire to make this month truly memorable. My name is Yash Kaushik, and I'm honored to be your anchor for this online session, navigating the vast virtual sea of information and insights that awaits us. As we gather in this digital space, let's reflect on the significance of November, a month that often invites gratitude and the recognition of moment that shapes our life. Whether you are seeking knowledge, connection, or simply a moment of reflection, know that your presence enriches this digital session and we are weaving together. Let's embrace the power of technology to foster connections, share experiences, and make this November not just a month, but a chapter in our collective memory. So, without further delay, let's the November to Remember online session commence. May our screens be windows to new perspective and our keyboards be instrument of collaboration and our discussion be catalyst of positive change. So over to my colleague Olokunle. Now it's up to you. You can introduce our head of school, Sam Johnson, and our guest speaker, Dr. Celestine Iwendi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Yash. Thank you very much. I really appreciate.
Thank you.
I'm quickly going to be reading the biography of our speaker for today in this series, Dr. Celestine Wendy. Dr. Celestine is the IE brand ambassador, i.e. the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, that's the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for the benefits of humanity. He has a PhD in electronics engineering, past ACM distinguished speaker, a senior member of IEEE, also a seasoned lecturer and chartered engineer. He's a highly motivated researcher and teacher with emphasis on communication, hands-on experience, willing to learn, and a 23 years technical expertise. He has developed operational maintenance and tech and testing procedures for electronics products, components, equipment, and systems. They have provided technical support and instruction to staff and customers regarding equipment standard, assisting with specific difficulties in service engineering, inspected electronic and communication equipment, instrument products, and systems to ensure conformance to specifications, safety standards, and regulations. He's a wireless sensor network chief evangelist, AI, that's artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Internet of Things expert and designer. Dr. Celestine is a reader, a professor at the University of Bolton, United Kingdom. He is also the IEEE University of Bolton Student Branch Counselor and former board member of the IEEE Sweden section. He's a fellow of the Higher Education Academy, United Kingdom, and a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants. To add to his teaching, managerial, and professional experiences, Dr. Celestine is an ambassador in the prestigious Manchester Conference Ambassador Program, a visiting professor to 5 universities, and an IEEE humanitarian philanthropist. Dr. Celestine has received the prestigious recognition of the Royal Academy of Engineering through the Exceptional Talent Scheme, acknowledging his substantial contributions to artificial intelligence and its medical applications. Additionally, he takes pride in his 3-year inclusion in Elsevier publication, featuring the world's top 2 influential scientists. I think that's a very great profile of our speaker for today. And we also like to reference our head of School of Creative Technologies, Sam Johnson, with us. And I would like to hand over to her if she has any word for us.
Thank you so much, Olakunle, and also to Yash. Yes, I think that was a fantastic introduction to our dear colleague and friend, Dr. Celestine. Dr. Celestine's track record is highly prestigious, and certainly since his arrival at the University of Bolton, he's made an enormous contribution, not only to the Centre of Applied Computer Science, but also to the wider university. We are seeing a new energy and dynamism in the computing department in recent years, with so many new, talented, exciting staff coming on board. And I think Dr. Celestine is doing an absolutely wonderful job in catalyzing and alchemizing new projects, new ideas, and is bringing a new dynamism to the whole department. So, you know, I shall say no more, but hand over to our dear friend and colleague, Dr. Celestine Iwendi.
Thank you so much, Sam. My father in PhD, our father as the professor is here, Professor Jerome. Thank you for all our staffs, Ibisam, Ansha, and others who are still connecting. So even though I'm going to speak today to round up, we were expecting one of our guests to be here, but he had some medical attention. So we are always ready anytime. You know, I'm someone you cannot take unawares, even if it is just 1 hour. Just give us time to think, something else will come up. But then he sent in a little slide which has helped to build this topic up, and is going to be very great. You know, I was going through this slide myself. Sometimes you write and then you go through it. You're like, wow, this is something I also need to build up, especially the rep that we're working on. So we start wasting time. We already have 10 minutes into our program. Okay. So no need to introduce again. We just go into funding research excellence framework. We normally call it REF, collaboration, best practices. So we've had different types of them. In introduction, like I said, I'll try to make it as brief, even though the materials are much, but I'll try to make it so that we can have time, especially when we have some experts here to also say some things, like funding. The REF, which we call the Research Excellence Framework, collaboration, these are crucial components, you know, when you talk about academic research landscape. And they all play significant role in shaping the direction. That is number one. Quality. We have recently have the University of Bolton, you know, brought in someone from psychology as director of research in terms of quality. And it's not just only that, in terms of impact of research endeavors. So funding is important. You know, someone will say, you know, if you don't have the money, even if you have the idea, how will it go? A whole lot of ideas have been on just paper publication. Without funding, nothing goes up. Without funding, the university also goes down. You will see it soon. So it's essential that we need this, you know, necessary resources. It's not just that, which we also bring in personal equipment and materials to conduct research effectively. Then we also look at quality. Level of funding will also determine how far a school can go. Higher funding enables researchers to use advanced technologies, you know, access specialized facilities, conduct comprehensive studies, you know, increase the momentum that the students are also using in terms of allowing them to be creative in what they do. Now, in terms of collaboration, we talked about where researchers, you know, come up with pool of resources, both financial and intellectual. You know, collaboration is not just collaborating with people international, also talk about interfaculty collaboration. There's something we are planning now in Bolton where psychology, medical, arts, you know, and you know, psychology, different types of collaboration. We are trying to start up that, especially with artificial intelligence. So it leads to more significant and impactful projects. and bringing individual researchers or institutions what they could not achieve alone. Now, when we talk about the REF, we talked about the research excellence framework that promotes accountability by providing external evaluation. So when you hear REF, for some of us who are in the academics, or some of you that will be in the academics tomorrow, you know it's not just what the university does. It's also giving a kind of accountability, it's giving a kind of approval, to what the university does in terms of our research quality, which can be used by institutions, funding agencies, and the public to assess the performance of academic research. In other words, there are some funding we cannot go if a particular department or course is not yet in REF. So this is why we are pushing it so much. And it's not just, okay, I was in REF and then finally I will never be out of REF. Once you are there, you keep maintaining the same standard to remain there. What I normally say that it takes one idea to get to the top, but you need many ideas to remain at the top. That is how REF is. Okay, we can say we have done it, we have succeeded. We need to keep that standard. If not, you lose your point. So funding provides the necessary resources for research. The REF assesses and ensures the quality and also encourages this, bringing collaboration, enhances the breadth and depth of academic endeavor. Now, what we do with this is that we try to contribute to the advancement of knowledge when you bring all this together, the development of new technologies and improvement of society as a whole. Now, when I talk about society, someone will say, okay, how does the REF, so how do we have this academic funding? How does it improve the society? We'll come to that later. Now, in funding in academic research is crucial. It provides the financial resources necessary for carrying out the research activities. Now, even including PhD students, getting PhD students. So we have the government grants. So many research projects receive funding from this. And then what do they do with them? From agencies that support scientific research and development. This grant can be awarded by national, regional, or local levels. I was yesterday in ambassador program in Manchester, where the head of Manchester Council, the leader, and then she was kind of making pledge for all the conferences we are planning in future. And then I was the only one who represented boating. And it was very good to have only boating represented and an assurance that the next conference we are planning, they'll give us every support in terms of from the planning to the funding. And that is a very good news, because then you have the idea, you can make things happen. And then if we cannot get something like IEEE to fund everything, we have this Manchester Bureau to assist us with that. So we also have private foundations, various foundations and non-profit organizations, like the one my brother Jerome is planning to walk around Manchester, next year. The funding, although now is channeling it into health care of children. Now, what does that mean? If we develop a mechanism to, using AI to solve problem in computing, using computing and AI to solve problem of the children, it means we can access that fund. That is a private funding. Someone on his own doing something for others to learn and others to benefit from. This is exactly what you see in most of the billionaires, where they come in, like the one we are looking for to help us in our center. They come up with their hard-earned money, and then they say, okay, take this 1 billion, take 10 billion, take 10 million to establish something that will be beneficial to humanity. Now, we have corporate sponsorship. This comes to receive funding from corporate interested in the outcomes of research, especially when it benefits them. Sometimes not really. You can see some business people who go out to buy, things like Chelsea, Manchester United. Does it mean that they played football? No, they're just investing what makes people happy. So that is how you have corporate sponsorship. You have sometimes corporate sponsorship can come in to give money to a department. These are the areas we are looking at. Not only just that, corporate sponsorship comes in also in a way where we can have KTP, where they'll pay half of the money to our staff doing research that will benefit them and also with the university. So funding can come up. Currently, we're having 2 KTP we are working on in the School of Arts and Creative Technology, and hopefully we will get that to help our students. Then you have international funding. Collaborative research projects involving most countries may receive funding from international organizations. Now we have the EU, what we call the Horizon. We are currently on 3 million, funding that we got from EU last year. Now we're also working to get more. So we collaborated with 6 other partners to make sure we are able to assess this. What are we working on? On GREAT, on using games to solve problems, and make policy, allow the policymakers to reach out to each citizen. That is the kind of thing we are talking about, international funding. I got my friend from Saudi Arabia, and he said, Celestine, there's a funding that is about there. Send your profile last week. And I'm like, okay, I'll send the profile. Well, how much is it? It says about 20 million. I'm like, oh, this is good. Can we process? I want to know the details. These are all the things that comes up. Sometimes they give funding for some publication because, we'll come to that again, so that the publications will help to boost the record, boost the standard of the university, and also allow them to be noticeable by others. Now, look at the best practices for securing funding. Number 1, identify funding opportunities. That's number 1. It's very difficult. One we saw, it was just 2 days, and so you have to be on the lookout. You have to spread your tentacles. You have to meet up with people. In terms of, we have been talking about networking the whole, in the whole series. You have to network, because sometimes you will not just be sitting down reading news alone, to know which funding is out. So sometimes it comes up, and then but you have to identify the funding opportunities. Then know whether we qualify for that funding opportunities. That is number 2, align with funding priorities. Align with funding priorities, map your idea to what is written in the call. Number 3, develop a strong research proposal. Now, when you talk about it, what is a strong research proposal? I'll come down to it later on. But we need to develop a proposal. A proposal is something new, a novelty, or something that will benefit the society, based on the call. Based on the call, you look at the call, you look at what can we achieve from this call. It's not something others have done. It has to be something new that will benefit the call, where the funding, the money is going to be spent. So number 4, understand the review process. There are a review process, so we try to use experts, people who have knowledge on this before, and then try to communicate with them. It's much more better to collaborate with people who have already secured funding before. It makes the journey easier, Then budget realistically. If the funding is about 10 million, it's a 10 million call. You don't go for 10 million. You go from 5 million, 8 million, you don't go too much. And then that is number 1. Number 2 is on your own budget, like what we are currently working on now. Even if we are targeting 5 million, we should be able, because there's some money that will come to school. There's a whole lot of thing that comes in budget. So your budget has to be much more like half. You need to have like 50%. Okay, Professor Paul will say 75% of what you need to use that money for. But why we say 50%? Because there may be some exigencies that will come up later where the money needs to be used. And you don't want to finish the money without finishing the project. A project of 3 years, you have already finished the money in 1 year. So we have to be very careful when we are putting in our time scale, what you do, what you buy, where you travel to, we have to be judicious in how we spend this money. Now, the thing is this, if you cannot deliver, then that is another problem at the end of it. So we don't, because you will never get any other thing again, throughout your career. That is a kind of red mark. So we try to make sure we deliver what we say we will deliver from the initial. Number 6, we demonstrate collaboration. Now, most of the funding, especially in EU, I was with one big man, and he was telling me, Celestine, if you want to get to the top, you have to move alone to the top. I said, yes, but I also told him that I've never seen eclipse of the stars. I've never seen anyone. That means every one of us can be stars. That walking alone sometimes means dying alone also. So there's so much power when you can demonstrate collaboration. EU funding, for example, you cannot get it if you are not collaborating with anyone. So no matter how good your idea is. Now, this will also come into paper publication. One of my friends in one of the universities in Sweden, it took him 1 year to write one paper, and he celebrated it. And I told him, once the paper was out, the first thing I told him, I said, my friend, your idea is outdated. He said, Celestine, how? I just released this paper. I said, how long did it take you to produce it? He said, 1 year. So by the time I gave him a whole lot of literature results, he discovered that the paper that took him 1 year, other people have already done the result and produced the result 2 months after I got the idea. So, and I told him, I said, you have a very good idea, but it took you so long to produce. And that is why I tell people, once you have an idea, work towards that idea and get it out. Because if you don't get it out, don't think that idea, the angels that carries idea does not know only your house. He also knows houses of other people who can think. So what are we saying? And immediately you discuss your idea. Now, for instance, we started talking about AI. A whole lot of people are already running an AI in the school. So we have to run. We have to run with the idea. So that is why we say act fast. Act fast. Demonstrate that collaboration. Act fast. Highlight potential impact. Impact on the society. What is your idea going to achieve? Normally what I say, what, why, how? What is it going to achieve? Highlight the potential of it. These are the best practices for funding. Ethical consideration is very important. Will you use humans to do your research? What is the ethical consideration? Now, I don't need to talk about this yet because Dr. Ike finished this yesterday on AI and ethics. AI as a game changer. So if you want to know so much about ethical, go and listen to that video again. The videos are all out now. We'll start spreading them again from next week. We say it's a November to remember. So every day will be a remember, we'll have a November to remember online. So ethical consideration is very important, and you need that to clarify the research you are doing. Now, number 9 is build a track record. Now, a track record means what have you done before? Normally, I do say experience is not the best teacher, but wisdom. Experience is learning from your mistakes. Wisdom is learning from the mistakes of others. So what we do is you learn from others what they have already done, and I try to bring them along so that we can have that track record of success. Now, when, they say the funding, what I heard, that the funding with UK is conservative. I'm not talking about conservative party. I don't belong to any of them, but they say it's conservative means if you have gotten funding once and you're able to deliver, you have the possibility of continue, you'll continue to get. That is what it means, So we need to make sure that once your name is registered in UKVI or any of the EU funding, it's possible you will keep getting. They will first look at you before they look at a newcomer, Then number 10 is diversify funding sources. It's very important. We don't only say one particular area, you diversify. If the target, because funding is not just funding, it takes a whole lot of time, a whole lot of work, manpower, and order. So but we diversify to say, okay, how many percent will you work here, bring in more people into that funding so that we can keep getting more. So don't say I'm the only one who is going to get 100%, and then another one I'll get 100%. You will die even, and the funding will still be there, and then the project will not continue. So then the other one is engage with the funding agency. This is what we call work package 1. In what we are currently doing. Work package 1 means we align what we are doing with the agency. So you always go back to them. Is this what you need? Are we delivering the right thing? Because there is a representative assigned to you once the funding has been gotten. Even before then, you want to be sure that is there. And, they actually provide, ways to make sure this is done. So they provide, we work with them to make sure that this funding is. So once we start writing, we will start making that contact with the agency. Then submit a polish application. So once you have that input from the agency, you have put all this together, it's now possible to submit a polished application. Then we follow up and learn from feedback. Sometimes it could be all stars. Sometimes you could be, okay, sorry, we have taken orders. Your own was not good enough. Find out, there will always be a feedback. They'll go through that feedback and then we'll move on to the next level again, so that we don't make the same mistakes. That's why I said it's always good to have people who can review, who are reviewers of those funding, to give you an idea of what you expect from that. Then, Research Excellence Framework Overview, it's a system used in the United Kingdom to assess the quality, in higher education institution. So this is an evaluation exercise, determines how public fund research should be allocated. So the REF is conducted by the 4 higher education agency body in research: England, the Scottish Funding, the Higher Education Funding Council of Wales, the Department of the Economy in Northern Ireland. This is how they are built up. So the outputs, these are professionals. Elements of REF. This is exactly what we are looking at. This place, when I was going through it, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what we need to put in our next REF that we're working on in 2027. Outputs. The primary focus of the REF will be to identifying excellent research of all kinds as demonstrated quality of research publication and other outputs. Now, if we talk about outputs in terms of the publication that you are going to have, who is going to benefit from what you have? How will the result be? How many publications are you making? This comes from in that area. Then impact. Significant additional recognition will be given where researchers have built an excellent research to demonstrate benefits to the economy. This is the impact. Economy. Now, what we are developing, is it going to start yielding money for the economy? Like we are talking of yesterday, we were talking about the Manchester Bureau. What we are bringing in, when they said, oh, these ambassadors have brought 9 billion to the economy, that is an impact. So when we bring in that kind of money, we are helping to benefit the economy. Now, society, what we are generating, is it going to help? That's why most of the time, AI and medical applications always get big money, because people want to first do, how will this work out to save lives? That is society. What will make life? We got great, because we are affecting the society. How will they reach? We noticed that during the pandemic, a whole lot of people were more on their computers playing games. So how do we converted that into a research, a research project, and we're able to apply, public policy. There are a whole lot of public policy that are there. And every research, good research, we should be able to have good policy that we think we have to develop. Now we're talking about AI. Every policy is coming, everything is coming about AI. What policy? How will AI protect instead of being a danger to the society? What is the policy? So policy making is part of the elements of REF. Culture or quality of life is also there. Will it improve the quality of life? So when we are thinking of a research, this is area we are thinking of. If we are thinking of REF, passing REF, this is the area we're also thinking about. Now, environment. REF will also assess how far the research environment supports a continuous flow of external research. Of excellent research and its effective dissemination and application. Environment. Before you go into the research, what are the environments of the research? For instance, we are having November to Remember. These are all environment. We are having, every time our research unit meets once, and our knowledge exchange meets once in a month, because we are building ideas. Now we are having meetings with, the last time we had with the Northwest ambulance section, discussing the problems in the ambulance area. How do we use it to work? The next one is IEEE, encouraging our students to, collaborate in terms of research with others. The other one is a hackathon, or what do you call it, that we are also working on, different types And then, we have our students going out, with KTP, going out with the industries to work on their data. These are the environment that we are going to include in our ref. So the main purposes of the ref are to provide accountability again to public investment in research, using this benchmarking information for use within the higher education sector and for public information. So this is it. Research output. I don't know if it has changed, but this was the one that we got the last time. Research output 60%, research impact 25%, and environment 15%. This is how it's going to be graded. So we need to be sure what we are putting in, how in outputs, in the impact, or in the environment. The environment can also be research culture, where we have the impact and impact and contribution to the environment. Okay, so navigating REF's best practices, now understanding REF submission criteria, preparing research outputs, showcasing impact and engagement. This is how we are going to write it, in the one we are submitting, and then cultivating a supportive research environment. Very important. A research environment has to be consistent, for you to have an output, which is very good. How do we collaborate with that? So collaboration in academic research allows researchers to bring diverse expertise and perspective, to this area. Now we have different skills, people with different skills, people with different background, knowledge, enriching the research broader range of insight and approaches. There was one of the funding that we got, and then they said, oh, they need different genders to it, because we discovered everyone there was just a male, and then they said, no, we need a female also to be part. So if you don't have female, so when you are thinking of collaboration, you have to make sure it's balanced. You have to make sure it's balanced. If not, you will not be able to get the fund. Working collaborative can enhance research productivity with a team of researchers, and then, sharing the workload. Projects can progress more efficiently, leading to faster and more substantial output. In collaboration, there are some places where, the cost of living is low, so we also have to, we just noticed that in one of the EU one we're working, because, what they call professor, the associate professor, and what the salary, when you are putting it, it's not the same. So we have to make sure it's balanced. If not, those ones, we have excess money, and they need to also account for it. So these are the things we check when we're doing collaborative research. You check the cost of living, how much it you will use to get, things in India, for example, or China, and then compare you in UK. You know that the cost is quite high. And then we need to make sure who handles the work packages, it has to be balanced in such a way that we will not have a problem in our own side. So peer review within a collaborative team helps maintain high research quality. Colleagues provide constructive feedback, challenge assumption, contribute to refining method, improve the overall of the research. Now, look at the best practice in collaboration. Number one, building strong research network, which is very important. I brought my colleagues here, the other time, TIBA, in terms, we started writing for 5 years. In fact, I met one yesterday, Ali in MMU, and we have been friends for 5 years. We have never seen until yesterday. So these are all the things, but we build a strong research network using IEEE, and we have been writing together. We have published paper, and I think our citation in Google is about 461 people. 461 people have cited, and the paper has been read by over 40,000 people. So you build a strong research network, by networking, joining associations, ACM, IEEE, anyone. Yesterday, it was possible for me not to go to Manchester because we're having a program. But I looked at it, I said, one trip can make things happen. The VC, we say, be there. And I always speak that word. He said, whatever you do, be there. Because if you are there, you get a whole lot of things. And I was there and I then discovered, oh, they can sponsor our research, our conference next time. And that is a good one to know. So that is how you build strong research networks. Like we have our people who are planning to go to Poland to go in, as students, and a whole lot of collaboration is there also for them to tap. So we have communication and effective teamwork. Now, one of the secrets of writing publications is collaboration. You don't do everything yourself. You be like my colleague who worked the whole year for one paper, and its result were already outdated. Because when he started it was good, but by the time you finish it, the result was already outdated. Somebody else has run with that and had publication in 2 months. So he has to start afresh. And I told him, I said, but if you have teamed up with 3 other people, you discover the work was already done. I mentioned in PhD lecture, and I said, one time when I was doing my PhD at University of Badin, and then I was studying NS2, and national network simulators, and it was very difficult then, and then I don't really need it, but I just needed to simulate something in node-to-node communication with sensors. But after 3 months, I still did not get a good, breakthrough. I just asked a colleague, and I said, do you know this? I just need this to be done. It took him 3 hours. What took me 3 months took him 3 hours. You see, so effective teamwork is very good. If not, you waste a whole lot of time. So of our colleagues are not used to this effective. They feel I can only do it. I said, no, it has to be, in our dialect, they said, when everybody urinates together, it forms foam. That is how, in my dialect, that's how they say. They say for you to form foam, you have to urinate together. If you urinate alone, it doesn't. It goes down immediately. So communication and effective teamwork is very important. Leveraging technology for collaboration. This is why it is good to be in a technical association where you get new things every day. This is one of the things about IEEE. We get new information. Once it's out in ACM, you get all these things and you use it to work. So you are not just teaching, but trying to, it also helps you in teaching, because what you gain and is new, you come into the class and you do it. When I started teaching cybersecurity, my students were laughing at me. And I was like, what is the problem? I was using the old one. Why they are already in the new one? And I'm like, Celestine, what are you doing? I went quickly and downloaded materials, enrolled and paid for a cybersecurity update. And then I started getting it. So, and then the next thing they were like, we don't have too many notes. I said, yeah, you guys challenged me. And I went and did more. So that is how it is. So you leverage technology for collaboration. Showcasing successful collaborative projects is also part of practices in for collaboration. So we have many successful projects. Human Genome Project, HGP, the funding, a global research initiative received significant funding from various sources, including government agency, private foundation, international collaboration. Now, take note of that. We can have diversity. This is my next target now, where we have different agencies supporting, the same core. So we can use the one from government, put up that same project with some result we have gotten to private foundation that can come in and say, oh, this is good for us. Then you tap from there, and then you can move it also for international, for collaboration, especially cases where you have vaccine, COVID vaccine, where another international collaboration want to pick it to benefit their own country. So these are the areas we can go in ref and collaboration. So this ref and collaboration, the project involved many scientists, institutions worldwide, emphasizing interdisciplinary research. It had a profound impact on genetics, medicine, and biology, and showcased the power of collaborative, well-funded initiatives. This is how it is. Now we have started making noise. A whole lot of people are now getting interested to link up. But one of my colleagues was like, oh, Bolton, no, why not Harvard? Why not this? I said, yes. I said, I use that word. I always use it every time when people limit what we are doing. I say, mortum in parvo. It's a Latin word to say we are small, but we are mighty, because we can think, we can make things happen. And that is what Bro Jerome was saying earlier, ability to make things happen. is what we keep doing, even in bolting. So we have two orders there. I don't want to go too much because of our time, who have a successful project. Now, challenges that we have and solution. We have REF, subjective in assessment. They're very strict. I'm still trying to find out their star, how they give 2, 3, and 4 star, because you can't find it in any material now. It's just what they do. So we have to look at what worked last time, what will work in future. So pressure on researchers, which is another thing. Now people are teaching so much time. How do we make it work? Narrow focus on impact. That is REF, and then administrative burden. These are the things that are there with REF. Then the funding, competitive nature. It's not just there's a funding apply, you get. As you're applying, thousands are also applying. Short-term focus. Sometimes they expect you to carry out that research. There was one they said 3 to 8 months. By the time we finish analyzing, we know that project will take more than 3 years. So sometimes you are pushed to do something that should take longer time to achieve. Over-reliance on traditional metrics, uncertainty and instability. These are the things that comes up, especially, for instance, where we had the COVID. If you are going to go out, the research we just changed because of the event of the day. You have collaboration also, communication barriers. I have my colleagues from different countries, and then sometimes when they speak, you're like, okay, what are you actually saying? So it comes up that way. Intellectual property concern, who takes the IP, these are all the challenges. So we have to agree and make it in even when you do something with company, every company is associating with you because they want to make money. So, and then they want to hold that IP so that later there will not be legal issues, logistical issues, traveling up and down, cultural and institutional differences. It also comes up there, what they believe is right. I went to India in January, and then when they said the time for the lecture, they said, Celestine, 8 o'clock, come out. 8 o'clock, I was already there waiting. And then they're like, okay, we are still on our way. I said, you said 8 o'clock, this is 8:30, So a whole lot of things happens, and you're like, oh no, you are late. I said, no. Here, when we say 8 o'clock, gives us some time. The same thing in India, in China, when I was there. You're always on time. And then they're like, they said, no, here, when they say 8 o'clock, give us 30 minutes more. I said, okay. So these are all the cultural differences you see when you travel out in terms of collaboration. So you will not say, in UK, it's 8 o'clock. Because you are late, then this collaboration is canceled. You lose so many friends. So you have to be, you have to give some room for some mistakes, equitable contribution and recognition. These are all the things we see in challenges. Now, quickly, let me now look at research sources and visibility in the next 5 minutes. Now, research sources and visibility is like you moving with your wife, and then suddenly you see another girl, you're like, wow, ooh, I love her steps. Now, what does she have that the other one doesn't have? That is what we call visibility. Now, when you start writing papers, this is how it looks. Even though you are not chasing the man will be chasing you. That is how it is. You are just focused on sources, top-class researcher. Every other person will be looking at what you are doing. So number one is ability to be focused in terms of research. Focus in research is a whole hard work. I think for the past 1 week, 3 of my papers have been rejected. And I'm like, okay, what do we need to do? I have to restructure. We have to rewrite it. And the reasons doesn't even make sense, So, but you keep moving, you keep writing, even in the midst of that failure. And then you see the other one complaining, because he doesn't want to do that competition. Like I keep saying, there is no competition in research. It's all about collaborative nature, because there's no eclipse of the stars. Every star is meant to shine. Now, in terms of that, research is about, the purpose is to grow in the ranking, grow in technological growth, world recognition, for example. Then you have the methodology, very important for the university. This is how it is being graded. Teaching is 30%, research is 30% for the world ranking. Citation is 30%. International outlook is 7.5. Industry income is 2.5. So in teaching, you have the reputation survey. This is where we are doing very well in Bolton. You have start to, student ratio, doctorate to bachelor's ratio, doctorate award to academic staff ratio, institutional income. It falls into teaching, the learning environment. Then in the research, we have the volume, income, and the reputation. How much are we bringing into the school? Reputation survey, 18%, research income, 6, research productivity, 6. Citation is very important also in world ranking. How many people are citing our work as we are doing them? If your work has an impact, it will definitely have a citation. So this is 30, 30, 30. If we have that international outlook where we have staff and student research, international to domestic student, we have that in Bolton, where we have a high rate of international student, international collaboration, which we're working on every day, international to domestic staff ratio, and then industrial income. How do we relate? That's where our knowledge exchange is teaming up now with the industry, like the career fair we had yesterday, and then a whole lot of things that we are working on. This is what built the university ranking methodology. Now, challenging your creativity, the idea, research paper, and then we disseminate this research paper. These are the things in terms of thought, what we write and what we publish. So number one step is ask question. Number two is, search out those things about what we are working on, in terms of dissemination. Then number three is brainstorm. That's number two, brainstorm resources. Number three, locate resources. Number four, take notes. Number five, organize. Number six, improve. This is what I call simple, stupid of doing research. Making it as simple as possible for people to understand. It is a question. One of my mentors will say, what makes you to cry is what you were created to solve. And I always pick that. He said, any problem I face, how do I solve it? How do I solve? Some of us keep looking for others to solve it, but actually you have the capacity to solve that problem by first, how do I make this happen? Once you start asking how, the next thing, why is this happening? Then you find out resources about that. Resources about that is what's called literature review. And from literature review, you tap more other knowledge to improve on your research. Now, let me quickly move on because of our time. Again, on Scopus is very important. So even if you have not heard anything about this news, Bro Jerome is here. He will tell you so much about Scopus. Scopus is what the UK uses. It's a database citation that pushes how many papers we have written. You have heard the news, and Bro Jerome said it in his message last time. Was the only one who is now on top, current lecturer who is on top in Scopus for University of Bolton. People like us are still coming. We're chasing him. Hopefully one day we'll get there. But Scopus is very important. It brings up in-depth journals, publication, and they are trusted and read by millions of academics, and other professionals across the world. It is a well-known and prominent journal to be in-depth in Scopus. So you can be assured that your publication will automatically go there. I know one of our staff, I said, I saw you in Scopus. He said, I never went there. I said, yeah, because you have some publication. So I showed him, like, oh, I'm in Scopus. He never knew about it until his eyes got open, So you have so many efforts, straightforward for anybody looking for Scopus in their journals, topic of interest, subject of study, and hundreds of thousands of Scopus in their journals, so many of them. And it is the one the UK is using and many other universities. The requirements are almost the same: knowledge of the language, high suitable quality manuscript, compliance with the magazine style. So different journals have their own style, but they are all listed in Scopus and what we call WOS journal, World of Science journal. Those are the ones that have citations. Now, in terms of research, I've created this to make it look very simple, for others to pick. So you see it in your own notes about how you can make research from nothing, what we call the ACRI, the abstract introduction. The first time I created it, over 100,000 people downloaded it. And some people started reposting it to me. because my name was not there. So this one, my students were like, no, we have to use a watermark on it so that people will not just steal it like that. So what we did was to publish it in one of my magazines, and then we have them out, just to make you feel that research is as simple as possible. Now, not just for students. Now, when you use this thing, you will discover some of your courses need. I know some of our students were like, research methods should have been taught before we start every other thing, and I said, don't worry, your teacher will give you guideline on how to make presentation. From there, you can now have a very good write-up to continue. All right. Now, fortunately, there are several ways to boost your H-index. Very important. Collaborate with more mature researchers. Choose your journal carefully. Publish open access. Think about your audience. Network. If you want to increase your H-index, work on your writing. Show up on social media. Very important. Nobody will cite you if they don't know you, no matter how good your work is. The more noise you make. Now, the other lady that first spoke from Facebook, that first spoke in our November to Remember, she has now been nominated, or she's now the Director General for Space Agency in Nigeria, and that is a very big lift. And funny enough, she started with us. Tipper that was listed in Indian as cleverest top researcher, and it's also a 2%, started with us. So I'm just giving you two examples of people outside here who started with us and now are on money. Is highly paid in China. He did not say the other day he was here, and the other lady is now a top notch. Jane is now a top notch in Nigeria. Now to even say hello to me is not very difficult. That is what success can do. All right. So summary and goals: increase publication, increase research visibility, establish this our goal, Center of Intelligence of Things for advanced research in robotics, AI, cybersecurity, big data, IoT, medical application. Our goal: we are having venues for 500 papers. So we're encouraging our students to write, encourage our master students to have at least one top publication. We had last year or this year, some of our students who left, some of them have 5 publications, and some of them have very good jobs. And the ones who don't have one sent me now a mail, and then he says, oh, sign this for me in care job. And I said, remember when I told you to come to the cook room? You told me you don't have time. Now you are still doing care job even after you have graduated. I told her, I said, I am ashamed. I said, but if you have listened and followed like the others, it's not that 100%, but at least you should have had something to make noise in LinkedIn that you are doing. Whatever you do, including the IEEE Day, our engineering students were posting it in LinkedIn, and people, employers are looking. They are looking. Don't think, when you even comment on our post, they are looking. They are checking what you are doing. So reduce your 10 pounds per hour for students, get engaged in what we are doing, and help the university get the ranking while you get the job of your heart. Thank you. I cannot take questions before my dance.
Thank you very much, Dr. Celestine. It was a wonderful presentation, and you tell everything very clearly. And so if any students, anyone have any doubt, you can ask. Either you can unmute yourself or you can ask question in the chat box.
Yeah, and Bro Jerome is here, so Sam is here, everybody is here, so to answer your questions.
Any questions, guys?
Well, Brother Celestine, if I could just make a few comments on your presentation. So collaboration, absolutely fantastic, both internal and interdisciplinary, other academic institutions, and then national and internationally, and industry collaborations. You talked about private philanthropy. All the top universities have private philanthropists. They don't just get all their money from the research councils. So Oxford and Cambridge will take money from very wealthy people proudly. And if we could have some private philanthropy, it would do a great thing for us. We had lunch with Professor Abdul Khalek at the Army and Navy Club in London the other week. And he said, don't chase money, chase success. And the money will actually follow. And I think that was a good point. The Wellcome Trust, Brother Celestine, wants to give away £18 billion for research. 18 billion pounds. And in terms of mental health, their interests are anxiety, depression, and psychosis. Another interesting point about flourishing in old age. If you look at some of the people who work here, Professor Mawson is in his 70s. Dr. Burkitt is in his 70s. I hope one day they'll say Professor Carson is in his 70s. I am still only 66. But some of us actually are firing more now in our 60s than we were in our 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. So don't forget the old people. And Sister Sam was contacting me today about, am I interested in the University of the Third Age for elders in this country? Am I interested? When can I sign up, Sam? And then the final thing about new ideas, Brother Celestine. New ideas don't just happen in the best universities. New ideas happen everywhere. So just in this university, some of my own students, Lisa Ogilvie, has developed positive addiction recovery therapy to help people recover from addiction. Addiction is a massive problem worldwide, and she's developed a program to help people. Ian Platt developed Hummingbird for Schools, being delivered to over 5,000 pupils in this country. Brother Celestine, let us take it to Nigeria, please. We can help people in Nigeria with this program. And then the third one is Bounce Back, which was developed in lockdown, a program for parents to have a more positive approach with their children, developed by a former master's student, Claudine McFall, who's now at the OU, and Ian Platt as well. So just to end with the famous quotation that I always like to give by Professor Lord Rutherford, who said, we have no money, so we will have to think. We don't have a great deal of money at Bolton. The money we do have, it goes much further than it goes at the University of Manchester. So we use what resources we have incredibly effectively. And Brother Celestine, thank you for coming to the University of Bolton, because I know you are going to have a transformative effect on this institution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Celestine. I don't think so students have any questions because they regularly meet you and they continuously get feedback from you. And I've seen students coming to you and your room full of students. So probably you are guiding them and supervising them every time and every day whenever you meet them. That is the reason you are loved by them so much. Thank you so much. Yes, over to Sam now. Thank you. Thank you, Celestine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul. And if I could just add as well, I think one thing so important about this discussion regarding research with so many of our students present. So sometimes students see a divide between the things that academics do, that our lecturers and our tutors and our professors do, and what you're doing as students. But I think what's so important is to remember this isn't just about activity, it's about a mindset. What Celestine's talking about, what Professor Jerome's talking about, is a researching mindset. So it's about not just activity, it's about how you think, it's about curiosity, it's about connection. So it's not just about work, it's not just about a salary, it's actually a way of being, a way of seeing the world, seeing problems, and using your imagination and your academic skills to solve those problems. So I think it's wonderful to end this series looking at the ways in which We've looked at a whole range of different researchers throughout this series, but I think it's wonderful to think about that notion of us all, whether we are students, whether we are managers, whether we are academics, we all have a research mindset, and it's about curiosity and connection. So I think it's a lovely way to end the series. So I'd like to say, first of all, a huge thank you, of course, to Dr. Celestine for organising this series. It's been a wonderful, wonderful, engaging series of talks, huge variety. It's wonderful to have had so many of our academic colleagues involved, helping to host, speaking, contributing in any number of different ways. So it's been a fantastic series. And as I say, this is a lovely culmination of the work and learning we've all been undertaking together. When we began, we were chatting at the beginning of this session, I was being authentic and genuine in saying each evening when I've come away from the November to Remember series, I've been talking to people in corridors about the things I've been learning. I've been talking to family and friends about some of the wonderful work that's going on in the university and beyond the university. So I think this is such a wonderful gift that we've all been part of. So thank you to my colleagues. Thank you to dear Dr. Celestine, and thank you to our fantastic students who, that's why we're here. At the end of the day, that's what we always have to remember as lecturers and academics. We're here for our students. That's the most important thing to remember in November. So I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Celestine. I don't know if Dr. Celestine, have you made yourself an award that we can grant you? No, we have not got you an award. Well, let's give Celestine a huge round of applause rather than an award. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It was a wonderful series. And so we'll have to start thinking about next year now, won't we?
Yes.
Plan ahead.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much for everybody for coming, and hope the video will be out, so we'll see have everything running out the whole of November to remember, and then let's prepare for the next one. Thank you. And good
Absolutely.
night.
Good night,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
Bye.
much. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Carry on.